Migliore is with us, the industry's troubleshooter. Lou, how are you?
I'm good, Dave. How are you?
I'm great.
Good.
Great. I hope you are too.
We're dressed alike today. We have blue on.
Yes.
The color of the
have
day.
hats too, shouldn't we?
Well, we could do that.
Maybe next time.
Yeah. What kind of hat do you want to have?
I'm looking forward to that. Well, I don't know. Maybe a three-cornered hat, maybe.
We can look and see.
Very good.
I'm sure that everybody's excited to hear that.
I'm sure I am too. Lou goes out in the field, solves problems of the floor covering variety, and comes back and shares some of those with us. The problem we're going to talk about this morning is moisture testing of Gyp-Crete, which I have to admit that I've never heard of before.
And you haven't heard of it because, first of all, you can't moisture test Gyp-Crete.
Oh.
And that's the whole idea of bringing this subject up, because this was a project in southern Florida, and it was Gyp-Crete, and they had to test the slab for moisture.
That's a gypsum board.
It's not a gypsum board. It's a gypsum material. It's a poured type material. Now there are gypsum is, you can't test gypsum for moisture. It's just won't. It's not a cementitious material. So the question came up is, we've got to test this floor. It's got Gyp-Crete on it. How do we do that? Well, the answer is you don't, because you can't test it. Now you might be able to put a Tramex moisture meter, which is a resistance meter, on it, and it'll read through it, and you'll get some indication of moisture. And in this particular case, this was over the top of concrete. Now there are some gypsum type materials like Shernox, for example, which is an extraordinarily high quality product, and it's kind of a I'm going to use the word hybrid. It's not necessarily that. It is a high quality gypsum based product that gets really hard, and it's an excellent product. That we have no issues with.
These are poured, or
these can be poured, or they can be put down as patching or leveling agents. Typically, gypsum is something that a flooring contractor will go out and not get real excited about seeing, even though it's been around for ages. Dependable is a gypsum patch material. When I got in the industry over 4 decades ago, it was used and still is. I mean, it's still sold all over the place. But now with moisture being such an issue and such a concern, and we've had it on projects that we've been consultants on, if it's down and it's down tight and it's been down for years after you've pulled the old material up and it's still stable, one of the things we say is just go over the top of it. You can use you can use a patching agent or a leveling agent if you want. Shernox is a product that I like. I like the qualities of it. I like the fact that it is the type of product that it is, and will level out and do all kinds of things. Use that. There's a compatibility. As long as this Gyp-Crete is not, or the gypsum patch is not compromised coming off the floor, you can still work with it, or you chip it off the floor and repatch. But Gyp-Crete itself, the industry is so paranoid about testing moisture now in slabs, and more it seems that everybody's saying it's got to be done, which it should be done. And then you get these other materials that are on top of it, and how do we test when that's there? And for Gyp-Crete, you don't. There is no test because it's not concrete. So anyway, that's something that we're seeing more of as floors are being taken up, and then you have this material underneath, and what do we do with this now? And do we have to remove it all? Can we test for it? What's the deal here?
So then, if you have Gyp-Crete, you're not going to have problems with moisture?
Yeah, you can have problems with moisture, certainly. You can have other types of problems with it if it's there too. As you can with other cementitious type patching agents, and we're moving off the basis or the main point of what we started with here, and it's a good segue into other patching agents, whoever's they may be, that are cementitious. I'm not singling any of these out. You have to read the directions on the box or the bag and follow it to the letter because if you don't, you're not going to get the material mixed and poured the way it should be, and then it's not going to perform because it could be overwatered, it could be overstirred, it could be, be in the pot too long, which means it's in the mixing container too long, and then you go to put it down and it crumbles, it chips, it falls apart underneath, and you're saying, well, there's something wrong with this. Well, no. And what happens is that they occasionally change the formulations, they'll improve the technology, and that's why and we hear this so much, I've been doing it this way for 20 years. Well, you can't do that anymore with floor covering products or accessories that go with.
Product has changed.
You can't do it with adhesives, you can't do it with patch, you can't do it with the flooring material, regardless of what it is, soft or hard surface. You have to read this stuff and say, well, this one says I should have used 2 quarts, and now they're telling me I got to use 2.5 quarts. Well, if you've been doing it, you think the right way, and put 2 quarts in, and it's supposed to have 2.5 quarts, guess what? It doesn't work, and there's a failure, and everybody says, well, not my fault, I mixed it the same way I used to mix it. The bags are gone, so now you got to, it's like you got to backward research the thing to say which one did you use, and then what did you do, and it becomes a real mess.
So the message here is read the directions.
Read the directions, understand what you're working with. When it comes to Gyp-Crete, understand that it is not concrete, that it has different properties, it has different characteristics. Can you still test for moisture? Yes. Sometimes you can't do, calcium chloride. You're not going to do relative humidity, but you might be able to use a meter that would work for you well enough. And you have to be much more versatile today when you're working in this arena of flooring than you used to be before. It's just very different. And every manufacturer's got something different. You got to use their adhesive, and it doesn't make any difference whether their adhesive is made by the same people or making it for somebody else. It's made to be used with that particular product, and the best thing to do is use what everybody tells you to use, do everything everybody tells you to do, and this way, if there's a problem later, you got yourself covered to say, here's what I used, here's what I did, here's the bag, here's this, here's all of the history of what's gone down, and it's got to be something else. Because it's, these things become very multifaceted. It's rarely just one thing.
I can hear you. Good place to leave it. Thanks, Lew.
You're welcome, Dave.
We've been talking with Lew Migliore, the industry's troubleshooter. This is Talk Floor TV.